the quorum count. And again, important decisions being made this afternoon. It's important that we do have quorum at that point. So with that, I will turn it over to my colleague Vera to introduce the next agenda item. Miigwech.
Miigwech Adam and Minigajep Kinawea. That I just wanted to ensure that we understand that all the important work that we're going to do today started this morning. So we acknowledge all of those Shkaubewases and helpers that began the sunrise ceremony and began the prayers, and for our grandma Norma for sharing her prayers and her words with us this morning. We acknowledge that and say miigwech. That everything we do here is important, everything that we listen to, everything that we say is important. So we know that as Gimas, your work is very important, and we give space to that today for us to do our selection process that has been part of our work at Chiefs of Ontario for a number of years. So with honor and privilege, I'd like to invite and introduce Gary Dokis to come and be the Shkaubewas for the leadership selection process, and him and our friend Gordon Chop Wandabintz. So if you give them some mics, they'll be able to begin their work, and say miigwech to them for helping us through this next leadership selection
okay,
process.
there, it's turned on.
You're
Okay, miigwech Vera. I saw Chop here a minute ago. Getting ready. Yeah, everybody needs a break. Okay, so I'll go through the process for today while we're waiting for Chop to arrive. So basically, like Vera said, we were busy since we saw you yesterday. We had a sweat lodge last night, followed by a feast, and it was well attended. And then this morning we had a sunrise ceremony to open things up again for us today. So when Chop arrives back in a minute, we're going to ask Young Tribe to play a song to call all the chiefs and candidates into the circle, just like we did yesterday. And then we'll give Chop an opportunity to address the assembly. Each nominee for regional chief will have 10 minutes to address the assembly, and it'll go by order of nomination from yesterday, and I'll go through that once we get to that point. Again, the drum's going to keep time, so today they have 10 minutes, so you get a warning after 9 minutes, and that's your warning. And we found out they're serious yesterday because I didn't put a time limit on myself, but they still cut me off after a period of time, so we know they take their job seriously, so try not to go past, well, you won't go past your 10 minutes, so I shouldn't say try. After that, we'll have a brief question period if there's any questions for the candidates. And then we follow our traditional method of selecting an Ontario Regional Chief. We'll have a break after all the candidates and the questions, or after the candidates' speeches and questions. And at that point, we'll confirm the number of chiefs registered so we can figure out what the majority will be for successful selection of a regional chief today. Then the drum will call the chiefs and proxies at candidates back into the circle. And like you said yesterday, the youth want to confirm the number as well. They're very serious, as you saw yesterday. So we're going to call the youth in the circle at that time. And they're going to ask you to put your hands up again. And they just want to verify the count before we get into the actual process. So basically, what we start with is a ballot. So Chop's going to line the candidates up across that way, facing this way up near the drum. And when they play a song, Chop's going to line them up, and then we'll ask the chiefs to go stand behind the ones that they support. During that process, the youth are going to go through the line, and it's going to take a little bit of time because there are a lot of you here today, and I'm not sure what the number is today. We were at 94 yesterday. So they're going to go and count, and then they'll come to me, and I'll report the results after the first ballot. So the one with the least amount of chiefs behind them will be asked to stand down. They're allowed 2 minutes to thank their supporters, and then we'll ask the chiefs to sit for a minute, and then CHOP's going to reline the 4 candidates left, and we'll do the same process over. So as you can see, and most of you I think have seen this before, it happens very quickly. So now we got a lot of paper here, but I better hurry up because I'm going to get cut off, I know. Anyway, so that'll keep going until somebody has a majority behind them. And at that point, we'll give the runners-up, again, 2 minutes to address their supporters. And then we'll ask the drum to play a unity song. We'll ask all the chiefs to line up behind a successful candidate. So we've seen that before in many times. And then we'll take a break after that again, and then we'll do the pipe and blanket ceremony. So that's the process we'll go through. And I guess once we get you into the circle, we'll go through the process, and I'll announce the order of the nominations. So I see CHOP's back here, so I think we're ready to get started. So we're going to ask Young Tribe to play a song, and we're going to invite all the chiefs and the candidates to join us in the circle here. So I guess I give you some time to address everybody when they get in. Madbin. Miigwech, Young Tribe. I think there's one more seat here. There's a couple over here. Oh, there's one over there. Lots of room. Anybody? There's still a couple around, but it looks like nobody left standing. Yeah, and there's one over here. There's a few. Yeah, there are some open seats right here, and another one over here. Hey, Miigwech, Young Tribe. So everybody, I think, has a seat now. So I'm going to turn it over to Chop to address the assembly.
Honey bojo, kwe sego, mache. Hamigoch hogamak, namadubiok. Mompi, kujap. Nashwino hogama, ostoren iki guding. Miigwech ticket. All our Ogama that are here today, miigwech for coming again. Miigwech for the words that were shared this morning from our Ogama that are outside. Their voice is always recognized in this place, in this circle. This morning, we had ceremony right here, and we shared a little bit of insight on what's going to happen today. The bonnet has been removed from our current Hogama, and we acknowledge him this morning for all his work, and we acknowledge all the candidates for today. I guess one of the things that I want to share with you before we start. Our teachings are very important, all of them. Our protocols. And I'm going to acknowledge those ones that are outside that came in and grabbed that flag. I acknowledge that. I understand that. Because without our protocols that we have in place, these right here wouldn't be sitting in front of us. Because they go alongside with those grandfather teachings, with those grandmother teachings that we have and hold dear to all of us. And I just want you, each and every one of you that is going to be standing up and supporting an Ogama of your choosing, even the ones that aren't elected, we acknowledge those teachings as well. There's going to be anger, there's going to be frustration. But in the end, we all have to be unified as one. Nisanabe. All of us. I was always taught growing up that when we become unified, no matter what nation or tribe you are, we'll all see tomorrow clearer when we sit together, when we share our ideas, when we give that information that we need to share amongst each other. Miigwech, Kibishaying. And I want to thank this community, this nation, for allowing us to be here and taking care of what we need to. With having said that, I'm going to pass the mic back over as we begin the process today. Hi.
Miigwech Chop. Always good words to hear before we start. And like I said yesterday, I've done this 5 times here with Gordon Ba. And I guess I realized last year when I worked with Chop the first time, everybody knows him as Chop, but he's actually Gord Jr. And so I guess it just felt good when we ended up connecting last year to do a stand-up election for the Youth Council at the Anishinaabe Education Service. Always enjoyed listening to Gordon address us before we do our important work here today. And again, appreciate Chop bringing that advice to us again today. So we're ready to start with the speeches. And like I said, you get 10 minutes, and we know the drum is very, very serious on that. Thumbs up. And like I said, we're going to go by order of nomination. So the nomination is just to confirm yesterday, Rudy Turtle was nominated first, then Dean Sayers, Glenn Hare, Travis Boissonneau, and Abram Benedict. So we're going to start off with Rudy. And Rudy, you get 10 minutes. Sorry, over here. Okay, Rudy Turtle, everybody.
Good morning, bonjour, Wachie. I just want to start off by introducing myself. I'm the Chief of Grassy Narrows. I've been involved in politics close to 20 years in different capacities. First, I started off as a councillor. Then after that, I moved to a deputy chief, and eventually I became chief. So it's kind of been a process, moving up slowly up the ladder. Sometimes you just want to go straight to the top, but it didn't work that way. My First Nation made sure that I go up slowly and not just jump right away to chief position. So anyway, me geshin the morning pangingan snabem gichin and then we're gashing gichin and dagun nogum gakish bogak jitgo chikwanish nabem wink ashna me ke is kagishin talking keen wind kanish nabem is ke quite much to me kash can me going. Nimenandan ninigi kuki kinamoyot chanishna bemwan aniki shauke no residential school jitagush kukikshketun on chibmach to tishigi shwin. So my parents were very strict and adamant about keeping our language. My mother was very strict. She didn't allow us to speak English. Whenever we spoke English, right away she told us, "You're not a white man. You're a native. You're Ojibwe." And she never allowed English to be spoken in our home. That went for my brothers and my sisters. If any of them spoke English, my mom shut them down and reminded them of who they are. So I'm thankful that she was able to do that and that I'm able to speak Ojibwe. But I also understand Cree. I lived up at Fort Severn First Nation for 14 years. During that time, I learned Swampy Cree, so I understand the language coastal along the Hudson's Bay, Pewanik, Arawabskat, and down there. So if any of you Cree people try to say something Cree behind my back, so anyway, I ran for this position because I was asked by a fellow chief. He thought it would be a good idea if the turtle and the hare ran together. So here we go. I guess I'll start off by, I believe that we should help our youth. Right now, Most of our communities are struggling with the youth and addictions. I know in my area, in my part of the country, our youth are suffering with meth, cocaine, and there's a lot of drug trafficking going on in our area. There's even organized crime moving into our small towns such as Sioux Lookout and Kenora. It's getting really organized, and it's it's a tough battle. And I, would like to see us as chiefs, as leaders, we need to address this situation because it's getting terrible. If you come by Kenora, you'll see our people on the streets suffering, addicted to meth, and it's not right. And we need to start doing something about this together as chiefs, as people, and as elders, as youth workers. We need to get together and come up with a plan that's going to address this problem and get our people off this addiction. It's killing our people. I want to stress that. It's killing our people. It's sad. It's sad to see our Anishinaabe and Mushkego and the tribes we have here in Ontario suffering on the streets. So, as a regional chief, I would like to address this as much as I can and with the best of my ability. But it has to be done together. And I want to stress that we need to work together. Ever since I've been chief, it hasn't been Rudy Turtle. It's been my community together with my elders, with my workers, with everybody getting involved. We all work together as a team. And anything that's happened in Grassy Narrows, it's been a team effort. It's never been just me. It's always been me together with my workers, with my people, tackling issues together. And we need to do that as a nation here in Ontario. The other thing that really matters to me is, again, it involves our children. We developed probably one of the first child advocate programs in Grassy Narrows, and we've been trying to do the best of our ability to start bringing our children home. Everywhere we go, we see that slogan, "Every child matters." And you know that the child welfare system has been another residential school experience because they took our children to different homes, out of our reserves, out of our communities. And we need to do something about that. Right now, we are in the process of working on our child care law so that we can have control, so that what we say happens, not an outside agency, not from Ontario or the feds, that whatever we do, it's ours, it's us doing it, our rules, our governance. And as I'm talking about governance, I'm going to move on to protecting our lands. Grassy Narrows has been very strong in terms of protecting our land. We've had the longest logging blockade in the history of Canada, and we never took it down. It's still there. We will not allow logging in our traditional territory until we say so, and we'll keep it that way. I would like to see us do that together. We need to assert our treaty rights, our inherent rights. We should be calling the shots, not MNR or the feds. It's us together, and we need to do it together, as I mentioned. We need to work together. As we begin working on our laws, our child care laws, our land laws, Treaty 3 is already working on a law within the land of Treaty 3, and in Grassy Narrows, we're slowly getting into that too. There's child care law, land law, health law, all these things that we are putting together to make sure that it's our government, it's us calling the shots. Finally, as the next regional chief, I want to stress that, again, that we need to work together. As I mentioned before, it's not just one person alone. We have to be a team. There are difficult days coming up ahead, especially when we hear that Pierre Poilievre might be the Prime Minister. And if he is, then we need to stand together. We need to work together. And so, I want to ask you for your support. And together, we can have a better self-governing body. And together, we could advocate for our people. Together, we can stand against Poilievre. Together, we can be a successful nation. Haumigwech. Thank you.
Miigwech, Rudy. Okay, next we're going to hear from Dean Sayers.
Miigwech, Gary. Abojo Kinewea. Ogaman Namanagojing Guayaka Dishnakaz. Badranang Dunjaba. Gijakto Dam. Nishnabe Nenandao. Good morning, everybody. It's a real pleasure and an honor to be able to address you today. My name is Dean Sayers. I'm from Batchewana First Nation, and I'm hoping that through all of the efforts that myself and my team and the people that have stood me up can help you in your contemplations and stand behind me today to help us keep moving the yardstick, to keep progressing, to keep evolving, to find our rightful place on our lands. I want to thank CHOP and all of our youth for helping with all the ceremony in the last couple of days. It was beautiful to be embraced by our ancestors through the ceremonies in the last couple of days. I also want to acknowledge the drum. Thank you for being here with us and helping keep us on track and bringing those songs that have their own spirit and their own role and expectation in how we ultimately need to align ourselves. And as I walk around here today, I acknowledge the sema that was provided to me by a member of the Elders Council this morning, and I pray that that sema will help and guide me in the words that I need to share, that you need to hear in your discussions amongst yourself and in your contemplation as chiefs and proxies to ultimately find your place behind me this morning. And as I walk around, I see a lot of you that I've met with at the different PTO assemblies with NAN, Treaty 3, Anishinaabeg Nation, Union of Ontario Indians, AI, and unfortunately I wasn't able to get to the independence, but I've had a lot of discussion with you, and I'm looking forward to even having more discussions. I feel really familiar with you all, just from those engagements in the last couple of months. But not only that, over the course of the last 20 years, through various capacities, almost 20 years as chief, but I was involved even before. I was health director in Batchewana. I was also helping in the addictions field, working in Southern Ontario, in the Fort Erie area, Niagara area, working on the streets, working with elders. And it was so good to come back to Southern Ontario and be welcomed so warmly by Chief Hill and the people of the Haudenosaunee people and the Six Nations people, and this morning, those reminders that came from the Confederacy. I also, as I go around the circle, I'm recalling the comments that you made while I was in your villages, while I was in your towns, and those things that still weigh heavily on me, including what we heard about from Chief Turtle with the opioid issues. Not only the opioid issues, but the mental health issues, the challenges we're having. And even yesterday's discussion, I was listening, and And I'm so challenged by these types of positions that are taken by these new governments on our lands, and we're always having to hold our hand out. We shared our resources. We have so much that we still have in our canoe. We have our land, our language, our people, our law, our spirituality, those things that define a nation. We shouldn't be going with handout to the new governments on our lands. If we say we need $100 million for health, $200 million for health, give us our money. And I'm intentionally saying our money. It's not their money. That's our money that came off our lands and resources. We need to get our fair share. Needs-based funding. And it was a little frustrating to hear us talking about envelope-based funding again yesterday, and how we're given this envelope by these visiting governments. And they say, here, fight nice, Indians. And then we get divided. And we're looking for all kinds of ways to make that money stretch. Sure, let's enter into a short-term, one-year path, but we really have to be serious at these tables, these negotiations with the Crown. They are the second level of government on these lands. You're the first level of government. We are the first level of government. They don't have rights unless we gave them rights. We have everything yet that the Creator gave us. And you are the most powerful people in Canada. A beautiful region. Other parts of Canada look to us for guidance. I want to be that catalyst with you, for you, stand behind you, beside you, open doors with you, and be a good voice. A voice of logic, of reason. And yeah, it can't all be about assertions of jurisdictions and sovereignty, because we have to allow for our people's human rights to be met, if not through Canada, through us. We need to put food on the table. We need to provide services. We might find some temporary comfort with the Crown. We have to find a balance between our relationship with the Crown, but we also have to assert. We also have to do that in a kind way. We have sovereignty. All of creation looks to us to stand up and look after them. All the trees, all the birds, the waters, the air, look to us to be able to help them. So I'm really looking forward to being able to help move the yardstick as your next regional chief. I would really appreciate you standing behind me so I can continue to do the work that I've been doing for most of my life as a leader, as a helper, and I would really welcome the ability to do that through advice from our elders and from our youth. And you know, one of the exciting things that we did at AIAI, the PTO that I was with for a very long time, was we actually stood up our youth, and not only did we look to them for advice, we actually gave them a vote at the table with the chiefs. I don't think that's a stretch. I think that's something we can look for. Have the youth have actual voice and vote. They should sit with the chiefs and have a vote here with you. And I really appreciate the knowledge keepers and your ever-evolving role, and what a beautiful logic that was shared with how we need to embrace your knowledge. And I'm looking forward to working with you. And our Leadership Council. The Leadership Council, we all need to be unified. When I look around the room, we are so many nations around this room here today. And I think about the challenges that we have with overlapping territory. We live side by side. We have our own understandings of history. We understand how far we can hunt, how far we can fish, how far we get a share. And it's not always aligned with neighbors' perspectives. We need to be unified. I want to help work through processes to be able to unite us with our neighbors. And when we're united with our neighbors, we're united as a people. We're united across Ontario. We're united across Canada. We need to resolve these processes of differences of opinion and land overlaps. And I want to do that. And I hear that from you, chiefs. There are so many of those issues that are festering, that are not getting resolved, and I want to do that. I don't want us to be disunited. I want us to be more united in the future. So I wish you well on your journey, and I wish you well in the work you do for our people, and I hope that you're able to find some comfort in standing behind me today to be your next Ontario Regional Chief. Miigwech.
Miigwech Dean. Next, we're going to hear from Glenn Hare.
Miigwech Ger. When I found out who all the candidates were for ORC, I said, uh-oh, got another turtle. Miigwech Nikit, Kadegejik, Mabagegan Sak Niget, Kendasrin Bemedot, Miigwech, Kinamandishin Nigan Eam Deming, Miigwech Gate the Kitwe. Mi Abdek Mandaban doing, Eam mentioned the Gamin going. Nashmandan Snabe wid, very doing, and Sigis got in the causing. Das it begans with an Danu Gigia, Gazagna Shim Tanders, Yabawakidia. Kage we Kagda, Kainji the way that kids see, Skit to Sequin Snabemet. So good morning, everyone, to the drum, knowledge keepers, and everything in front of us here in the middle. I want to say Miigwech for the guidance that Shikaba taught me, and look how it's grown to. There's so much to share with everyone, but we don't have enough time. I use my language as much as I can. I'm using the Trognosh one here now, but I always remind ourselves when you use your language and in only a few words and you say, I'm sorry, well, don't apologize, please, it's not our fault. It's not your fault that you can't use your language. I'm seeking your support for another term in office. When I travel right now, wherever it may be, coast to coast, because I represent you at the national level also, I'm so proud when I eavesdrop on some chiefs standing in the corner and they mention Ontario. You chiefs, they said the chiefs in Ontario, you make a difference, you stand together. That makes me proud. You know, when I first started, I didn't know what kind of role it would be as your Ontario regional chief. I tried to work with the government, particularly the Ford government, and it was good for a while. But then when we spoke out with your direction, and rightfully so, it's to protect our rights and our lands, and it was in London on the Greenbelt. They were infringing or starting to infringe, especially on the Williams Treaty. That's where your lands are, that's where they're focusing, that's where they were focusing in. But they also mentioned Sault Ste. Marie and Thunder Bay. So that's why I was comfortable to share the message that you have asked me to. And so they're not friends with me right now. I don't miss them. Because one of the ministers said to me, I made him eat his words, I think, because I forget what the topic was of the day, and he said, Chief, the Premier's my boss, and that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. So when Greenbelt came up, and he called me, and he said, Chief, you cannot make the ministers resign. It will never happen. I said, Minister, you're the one that said it, now my turn. I have my bosses. I'm listening to them. We got to protect what we have. It is not yours. This is our land. And rightfully, we should have a room at Queen's Park too for First Nations, or even for the ORC. We should have a room in that house. I hear the drug area. If it happens in my community, it happens in all 133. I listen to the Shognoshuk when they face crisis, suicides, but nobody talks about ours. And ours is more and double what they have to face. They have laws. So when they catch their criminals, they go through the system for punishment, for killing our kids. We have laws in our communities too. We have our own written laws, but they're meaningless when they go in the court system. They stop there. That's why I am so, when we initiated the court, again with your conference from December, your direction to take the federal and provincial to court, it's about time we did that. We're not going to lose any ground for them not talking to us. We can live without them. But it really, I think lots, when I go to their communities and we respect their laws. Minister Rickford, I'll say it out loud. He may be listening. But when we talked about this very thing, they said they were going to give us 6 bylaws that they were working on for us to have. 6. And I still don't know what them 6 are. But one of the things he told me, Chiefs, I want to share with you and the people here. He says, I'm going to Saskatchewan and I want to learn what they have. I stopped him right there. In Saskatchewan, if you're trespassing their property, especially if you're in Anishinaabe, they shoot you first and plead not guilty tomorrow. You remember that story a couple of years ago, who one of our own got shot because he was in somebody's backyard. I don't want them kind of laws or whatever you're going to learn to come to Ontario. We're not like that here. Then we have the Métis problem. We had a summit. We stood together. Saskatchewan's with us, Manitoba and Quebec. We need to finish that problem. We need to take back Ontario 100% because they claim they have 6 communities. We need to wipe them 6 communities out that they claim that they own. You chiefs have said out loud, prove that you are. Prove you got land to us. To this day, has not happened. We got so little land, but we're proud of it, what we have. We're proud of what we got. For the next 3 years, if re-elected, I feel stronger now that you have given us that mandate to take charge. I don't want to go to court either. We don't want to go to court. The doors are open on this lawsuit on the policing. We can hit the pause button if they want to meet with us. I think the legal money towards legal would do more good in our communities. That's no mathematic to learn. When I go visiting other regions, I sometimes I'm a little bit shy sometimes but it's their protocol, how respected I am as your Ontario Regional Chief. We have good rapport with my colleagues at the national level. And when I began this term I'm just finishing, when I started, as you all know, AFN was in a very rough position. I took charge on your behalf for Ontario. I made decisions as I carried tobacco. If I believed in it, when I believed in it, I put it on the table. Believe me, it wasn't easy to do that. It wasn't easy to do that at all. The two years that we dealt with that was hard. It took it not only on me, my colleagues at that table. It took a toll. So, and I will keep doing that for you, 24/7. My family's here, my wife's here. 50 years, we'll be married this year, 39 of them political, that strength. We have 4 boys, 2 of them are here. This is the only time they come to my meetings in my elections. Very much.
Miigwech, Young Tribe, Miigwech, Glenn, adding a nice element here with Young Tribe. I think I enjoyed that, except when they did it to me yesterday, but it is nice to hear a song partway through. Oh, here we go. Okay, I'm going to pass this on before we hear another song. So next we're going to hear from Travis Boissonneau.
And my son. He's yelling around back there. Honey, Miskoinepki, Nadeshika, Odijak Todem, Kadigan Sibi Dunjba, Ojibwe, Nishtabe, Mishki going down. First and foremost, Chief Hill, to you and your community. Thank you for hosting us. Thank you for, for the facilities, for the welcoming. And I did ask for permission, but I'm gonna walk in this direction, being here. To my nominators, Chief Carr and Chief Loon. You know, doing this, putting your neck out there, it's really interesting, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, but you learn a lot about yourself, and it's really interesting to know that support for the work that you've done or things that you've participated in exists. And the words of Chief Loon and Chief Carr, extremely appreciated. It means a lot to me and my family to have your support and your faith in the work that I've done and the work that I'm attempting to do. A little bit about me, since I have 10 minutes. I'm a father of 4. I'm Anishinaabe as well as Mushkegowuk. I am 6 generations from Shingwak. And this work, just being a part of this work, regardless what capacity, it's always been who I am. It's always been what drew me, I guess, just in different ways of helping our communities. I was fortunate for some time to be exposed and to work with the North, more recently in a senior capacity as the Chief Administrative Officer for Anishinaabe Nation. You know, and being, at times on the front lines of a lot of challenges, but also working with some strong leadership. And that's not just the executive, but also the leadership of the North. And seeing the strength it takes. I know that we're talking about mental health, we're talking about opioid addictions, but seeing the strength and to really bring it home, we're not just saying our youth, we're saying our families. These challenges, these issues, I know that we deal with them for our community, but we also deal with them in our homes. And to have that strength to carry on and to do this work, it's been inspiring, and a part of that, is what I'm learning to do and how I'm learning to grow. The work that we did at Anishinaabe Nation, I was playing a senior administrative role, but I'm very proud of the team that we developed to help the politics. I think that at that time, it was a good time to find the right people to help do the work. And a part of this whole campaign has been a challenge because you're asking, what have you done? These speeches at all the gatherings, you're asking, what have I done? But I've only been fortunate to work with good teams. So anything that is perceived to be success has been a part of a team. I've done it with some really good people, some really strong people, and people who are of the same minds and hearts as you here in this room. We're here doing the good work for our communities and ultimately for our own families, and this does enter our homes, this work. More recently, in a political capacity, I was at the Anishinaabeg as one of the regional Deputy Grand Council chiefs. And there, I had the honor of elevating the IRS file, which wasn't easy. There was, again, a team. There was some really good people there with the executive as well as some of the staff. There's some really strong people there doing the hard work, and it is hard. And I didn't know how hard it was until 1 year later. I was in a sweat, and it was a leadership sweat, and I just happened to be the only one. But I felt the weight that you have to carry when doing this work, and I broke down. I didn't realize I was carrying that, and not many of us do know that we carry a lot. So I think we have to find ways, individually and collectively, to understand where we are in the work we're doing. But I want to build on some of ORC's comments on the policing file, because to me, a lot of that, as frustrating as it is, the end goal was community safety, and that apparently is the end goal as well for this provincial government. But it's not for our communities. They don't believe that our safety is as important as theirs. So along this journey, in my capacity as the chair of the Justice Committee, we started a good fight along with ORC and Deputy Grand Chief Loft, in the sense that we did all the meetings that the government wanted. We followed their processes. And at the end of the day, they just didn't care. They took everything we did and just pushed it aside and said, if you want any further comments, go through the regulatory process. And that's their mindset. That's what we're up against. So ultimately, we said, okay, well, let's do them. They don't understand us unless we're in the courtroom. So yeah, they're friends, and they'll name drop all of you. We started to bring the Indigenous Police Chiefs of Ontario to our meetings, because when we'd meet with them, they would just drop their names. So I said, okay, well, let's bring them. Now they can't drop their names. And then we would go to these meetings, ultimately, unfortunately, useless, but we'd go there and say the same thing, collectively. And then chiefs started to jump on board. So what this government likes to do, and if so fortunate to have this position, the ORC's voice isn't a singular voice, it's our voice. And that position requires help from you. That position requires you to join the conversations. I know how busy it is in your communities, fire after fire, at times suicide after suicide. And the challenges will continue to exist, but this government tends to enjoy looking at you as a singular person and brushing your concerns aside. So on the policing file, we had, as well as the Métis work, that work's being led by leadership. And that's what our job is. Our job here in this forum is to sit in these circles and have those conversations. And you as leadership, as rights holders, when you have the time, join the conversation and help lead the work. I've found over the past few years, that's been some of the more wholesome work in terms of you're not alone, and sometimes in these positions, any regional capacity, even as a chief, you can feel alone. But I know, sitting in this circle, being a part of this, It's real, and it's something that we need to do collectively. I have a slogan on my campaign. It's fun. It's a vote for me is a vote for us. And what I was just saying is just that. We have to do this together. Everything. I know it's hard. It's hard work, but more importantly, as we sit in this circle, and I'll reference some of my friend Dean's comments, is this circle is a forum to have those difficult conversations about jurisdiction. I don't think we have them. I don't think that we make enough space to have difficult conversations amongst ourselves and not just against the province or the feds. But I think we should have those conversations in an honest and healthy way. But to close, to the youth, I know it's been 20 years. I was there. I haven't forgotten why I'm here. A big part of that is from being on the youth councils. To the women, the leadership, you have been inspiring over my time in different capacities, and you continue to be, and I hope to lean on you, and I hope for you to lean on me, and I hope to work with you. My mother raised me right. I know where the strength and humility is. My mom's in the room, somewhere over here. And to the elders, you have been so kind and so gracious over the years. You have been amazing. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Miigwech again, Young Tribe, and Miigwech Travis. So next we're going to hear from Abram Benedict.
Sego, good morning to all of you. Yongo for the opportunity. Thank you to my nominators for yesterday. I am Haudenosaunee, so I am in the territory of my people, so I will use the direction which we use for our teachings. My name is Abram Benedict, and I'm currently the Grand Chief for the Mohawk Council of Akwesasne. I've been the Grand Chief there, which is the community chief, for 9 years. And prior to that, I was a member of my council for 9 years. And my community is a community that is challenged by jurisdiction. Yes, we are a large community, which means that the assessment of myself is that the challenges are much greater. There's a lot of people. And not only are we a community that straddles the international border between Canada and the United States, we're in Ontario and Quebec as well. And so over the 9 years that I've been the community leader, my council of 12 has predominantly been women, in which I have embraced. But as a community leader, and as the chief of a community, the challenges that we face are great. And I would say that, over the last couple of years, it's gotten much more challenging. COVID has made the challenges much greater. Inflation is huge. And so the demands on community leadership, whether it be a counselor, council, or the chief, is great. And so I have faced that. Me and my council have faced that over the years, and it has increasingly gotten more difficult. And so it is at that point that I look at the structures, like the Chiefs of Ontario, the structures that exist through the political territorial organizations, the tribal councils, that are there to support us. And I can tell you that as a community leader, as a chief of my community, I rely heavily on those organizations to support us in different avenues. Advocacy, information sharing, being there when we can't be there, because the demands on us every day are great. And so as I move towards no longer being the Grand Chief in my community, which will be at the end of this month, I've decided that I want to take the experience that I have, the experience that I've gained as a member of council. I was elected in my community in 2006. I was the youngest member of council then. And fast forward to today, I'm the Grand Chief of my community. And for most of my term as a member of council and as a Grand Chief, out of the 18 years, I was the youngest member, but leading my council and community. And I worked under different leaders in our community, Grand Chiefs, and have learned a lot from them. Learned a lot from our elders, our youth, and our teachings. And so then when we look to the Chiefs of Ontario office, I feel that a couple of things. It's a great organization. It's an organization that was empowered by the chiefs and councils before us, and it will continue to exist. 50 years is a long time. Same length as our current regional chief's marriage. So that's amazing. Happy anniversary to you, Glenn, and your wife. But as we look at the organization, you know, as a community leader, my vision has always been the same. It starts from the top. We set the tone, we set the message of our expectations to the organization, but we also embrace communication and embrace the systems that exist that have been built before us. We have seen leaders come before us at various levels where they have tried to change the systems of the organizations that represent us from the outside in, and that's not an approach. We know as community leaders that we work together with our council, within the existing structures, to make it a better place. And I want to see the regional office continue to build upon relationships. I have made it a priority of mine to build relationships with all levels of government. Being in Ontario, being in Quebec, being at the federal level. And I can tell you that you don't always sit across the table from people that you like. But in the work that we do, it's not about liking people. It's about making sure that we're doing the best that we can as elected leadership to protect our people, to protect our jurisdiction, and to ensure that where we are exercising our rights, that there's no interference from the external governments. And I can tell you that being in Ontario and Quebec, it's very difficult because Quebec operates in a very different way. And it's odd because when we look at the relationships that I've built, Quebec is the most challenging one. But the thing is that Quebec fights the rest of Canada for their identity, for their language, for their land. It's the same thing that our people continue to fight for, but they don't align with communities. And so I make it a priority to continue to build upon relationships, and I think that the Chiefs of Ontario needs to continue to build those relationships. We have a federal government that inevitably is going to change to conservative, and we know the government that's coming in, and we know what that government has done. Their previous leaders sat in their house and made an apology to our people, but words that were followed by actions that were contrary to the "I'm sorry." They tore down programming, disregarded our jurisdiction, and disrespected us. And so there's no reason that the next government coming in won't do the same. And it is at times like this, when we select our leadership, our regional advocacy body, we need to have a strong leader. We need to have the Chiefs of Ontario performing at the best of its ability to protect you, to serve you, protect our jurisdiction that we have in the community. I tell you that if elected as regional chief, I know the place where the Chiefs of Ontario office is. The Ontario Regional Chief does not represent the people. You represent the people. And we have seen leadership in the past. We have seen leaders, whether it be through Chiefs of Ontario, different levels, saying, oh, well, you know, these people are saying that, these people are saying that. The community, you are their representative, not the Chiefs of Ontario. The Chiefs of Ontario is a regional advocacy body that creates relationships, supports you in your leadership, supports the PTOs that exist through those structures, and receives its mandate from you, who are elected. The grassroots is with you, and the rights holder are with you. And that, again, as I said, the message starts from the top, and I will continue to embrace that message if elected as the Ontario Regional Chief, and say that we support communities. We're there to advocate. We're there to protect defend them, because they are the ones that are elected by their community to represent their community, not the regional chief, not the AFN. And I know that the AFN has a bit of a reputation and a long way to go again, another institution that represents all of us in one way, shape, or form. But I can tell you that my dedication will be to the region. I know that we've had some issues at the AFN, and don't get me wrong, that if elected, I will continue to advocate at the national level, but it is in Ontario that we need to focus on. We spent a lot of time worrying about what was going on at the AFN and what they were doing, but who was that at the sacrifice of? That was of the 133 communities in Ontario. Meanwhile, the Ontario government is passing legislation, making rules that undermine our jurisdiction and authority. And if as elected as regional chief, I will make sure that we keep the pulse on regional, provincial legislation, provincial regulations that impact our people and communicate that back through to you, to the rights holders, and ensure that the federal legislation that impacts our people, you're aware of, and that we're making our message as a region be heard. Because as you deal with the challenges in your community expects you to be in Ottawa, lobbying, advocating. They expect you to be in Queen's Park, lobbying, advocating. And that is very difficult to do when you're trying to support your community. And the regional office needs to do that. And if elected as the Ontario Regional Chief, that's what I will do, is advocate for you, create opportunities, and ensure that our jurisdiction is protected and that our stories are told in those halls of Ottawa and Queen's Park. So, down go.
Miigwech Abram, we've heard from all 5 candidates now, and all excellent speeches, I must say. Before we have our break, I'll ask if there's any questions. Okay, used to Chief Collins, but Peter, Proxy Peter.
Thank you, Gary, and good morning, everyone. I guess I have a couple of questions, and I heard some comments. My name is Peter Collins. I'm a proxy for Fort William. But we're starting to inject ourselves in the economic world, and I heard some of the candidates touch on the opiate crisis that we're facing in all of our communities. You know, and I try to figure out, well, what is your plan? And you talk about mental health. Well, what is your plan? You know, and we look at policing in our community. What is our plan to help protect our communities? And adequate policing is so important to us. I want to know what you as the regional chief will do to help bring that back to our communities. It's imperative that we have safe policing, strong policing in our communities, because the crime and the underground organizations are migrating their way in our community. We need to have that protection. The health and safety and the well-being of our communities is so important. So my question is, what is your plan to do on those aspects?
So you'd like to hear from each candidate? Yeah. Okay, we'll do the same order then. We'll go to Rudy first.
My plan would be like to sit down with both levels of government and also to discuss the funding issue. Yeah, for sure, our police services are they're funded inadequately. And we're having that problem in our treaty territory. It takes an hour, sometimes even more, before they arrive whenever our local people make a complaint. And we've been after them for so long already. And we will continue to press for that so that we get adequate funding for policing. And also for, in terms of mental health, we've been increasing our funding, like getting more funding. Just recently, we got more mental health counselors and being able to sit down with professionals and come up with a strategy to help our community. And I would do the same thing at regional level, is to sit down with mental health workers, doctors, and other professionals and come up with a plan where we could address this step by step.
Thank you, Miigwech. Now we'll hear from Dean.
Miigwech, Chief. Thank you, Chief Collins. You know, we've inherited a heck of a legacy to look after our people. We inherited that from the Creator, to look after our children, our women, our families. And we can't continually blame Canada. We too have a fiduciary obligation. Canada has a fiduciary obligation, but we as leadership have a fiduciary obligation to help our people. And what we did at home in Batchewana was we bought a resort and we're converting it to a treatment center to help the opioid crisis, because we can't keep depending on and blaming Canada. We are responsible as well. I really believe that we need to take the bull by the horns and we need to look after them, and don't let Canada off the hook on their fiduciary responsibilities. We have to go after them. So I think that's what we need to do. Policing, human rights violations. I was involved with a lot of the discussions and the negotiations with our tripartite policing agreements, and I'm well equipped to understand the obligations of the Crown and compel them to align themselves with those obligations. And we need to be loud, folks. We need to be out front and center in all that limelight in the media. Ontario don't even know, the citizens don't know what we're challenged with. Miigwech.
We got Young Tribe, Glenn here.
No, Miigwech. So you heard me, we initiated a lawsuit against Canada and the province. Chiefs, the citizens here, we have some written laws right now in our communities. Maybe some of us don't, I don't believe that. I think all of us have some kind of laws. Let's exercise it. One of the dealers in one of our communities, one of our policemen, chief of police, asked, "Why do you keep coming back here? You know we're waiting for you, we're watching." His response, "You have nothing in writing, you have no law to kick me out of your community." Exercise it. I'll go back to my years as chief in my community in child welfare. I did so many things to protect our kids, I didn't know where I was going to wake up tomorrow morning, at home or in the jail. I always put my hand out, lock me up if I'm doing something wrong. I don't have a record there yet. Let's do it, chiefs. If it's going to take one of our communities to make an example, let's do it. They cannot touch us, they cannot lock you up. You're the chief. Miigwech.
Good. We've got Young Tribe, going to hear from Travis.
Start the clock. Thank you for the question. My plan, or our plan, has been in place for me for the past 3 years. When I first got in at the Anishinaabeg, one of my first calls was to APS. And I started to reach out because I wanted to build a relationship with our police service. And I know that our roles as regional bodies and leadership, we have a large role to play with our services. They need the political support, but they also need the community support. So my plan will continue to build relationships. And I've been fortunate. I do have a relationship with the Indigenous Police Chiefs of Ontario through my work with Chiefs of Ontario. And if elected, I continue to build those relationships. But we are in the courtrooms now, and we have to continue to push, us. But I did want to quote now Grand Council Chief de Bossigay. When we were having this conversation, she said, we're not going to place our way out of this. And it's true. And through your chief's experience, Gimas Solomon, we can solve this.
Congrats again, Young Tribe. We're going to hear from Abram.
Thank you for the question, Chief Collins, Peter. So if we put in the context of the regional office, there are organizations, to the political territory organizations, that likely do have plans. Unfortunately, addictions and treatment is not new. I mean, we have now seen that drugs have changed. The effects are much more devastating, but the plans are not new. And so what we need is to have the regional office coordinate and bring together. There's a lot of best practices that at least have some foundation that will support community healing and support addiction recovery and support detoxing. And so when we look at it in the context of the regional office, is that we need to make sure that the regional office is supporting the organizations within Ontario to make sure that those resources are available. And of course, this has been happening at various levels and in different pockets throughout the region. There needs to be a better coordination in it, and there also needs to be the resourcing. I mean, we can have the best laid plan without the resources to support it. It's just going to continue to be a plan and another study plan on the shelf. And so I would say that the regional office needs to bring coordination closer together, seize upon the best practices that exist in Ontario to support our people. Go on.
I should go this way as well. Regrets again, Young Tribe. While I was over here, Chief Miracle mentioned he'd have a question.
There's a lot of poverty in First Nations communities. Many people are on Ontario Works, have very low income, ODSP, the numbers are very high. A lot of people are working poor, making minimum wage. They are finding it very difficult to, many cannot find affordable housing. They have the luxury of putting their name on a long wait list, the same for long-term care. Ontario still has the largest number of boil water advisories, unresolved. The $1.2 billion for water in budget 2024 is not going to go far across Canada. I want to know, what is your plan to address the lack of capital to help First Nations rectify the backlog of housing, to create affordable housing and safe drinking water for the people? Thank you.
Chief Miracle will follow the same order, so we'll go to Rudy first.
I am one of the communities that's been under boil water advisory for so long. We've continued to push, and we were successful in getting a new water treatment plant. But in terms of housing, we've tried to be creative. We've searched different avenues. We've gone to even borrow from banks and had to find a revenue source to pay off these loans so that we could have more housing in our communities. So as regional chief, I would sit down with local leaders, which is you and other territories, and really strategize and come up with different ways of trying to get more money for housing. We have to try to be creative. That's what we need to do. And there's a lot of smart people around here and through this circle. Together we could come up with a way to get more housing, but we just have to be creative.
Congrats, Rudy. Hear from Dean.
Miigwech Gima Miracle. It's really unfortunate where we are today with our relationship with the Crown for non-fulfillment of the promises. And we do need to have that strategy to address the shortage of housing, the thousands of units that we need in our villages. Housing is really foundational. It's really important for us to have really proper housing in our villages. We have the experts. And you know, I recall when I was chief, and there was a loan guarantee program with Ontario for economics, for helping our people. And it was like you had to give your first child to be able to get the Ontario government to guarantee. We need to take control of the relationship. We have the power. We're not compelling the Crown to act aligned with our expectations around economic development, housing, infrastructure. Like, there should be no 20-year community boil water advisories where there's no water that you can drink or bathe in. We had uranium in our water. It took us 20 years to get a system, but it's possible. We have to be united. We have to call on our experts to be able to help us. We have the experts around this room, technicians. Advise the chiefs, and we'll take that advice.
Just in case you're wondering, I'm not lost. I was advised when I was sitting in the Mohawk section that I should be following Mohawk traditions and go this way. So that's what I'm going to do for now. Glenn here.
Okay, so I guess there's so many answers and so many avenues, I guess, that we can look at. But, you know, the executive, we have a woman there now, and I'll say it's Grand Chief Linda DeBosque. So when she was chief at home, in the water sector, she was awesome. And not only just for Ontario, but right across. Everybody listened to her. So I believe the Leadership Council, however it will look like, as we move forward here today, it has strengthened in a lot of areas, and the water and housing is one of them. And I'm glad that we have a Grand Chief who's an expertise in that field. So it will save us a lot of work. She brings lots already, and we'll just carry on with she has in her head. So, miigwech.
Miigwech. Okay, so next we're hear from Travis.
Thank you for the question. I think just in terms of your lead up to the question, you were speaking about poverty and such, and Our friend Greg Rickford just got a new title, Economic Reconciliation, so maybe he could help be a part of the solution. I doubt that, but my idea is you know, it's similar to the rest. We do have to lean on each other. I know you're a big you know, proponent to process, to research, and I think that we do have to engage. Unfortunately, we do have to engage in federal and provincial processes. So if we don't have our numbers together, then you know, the government unfortunately probably doesn't fully understand. I know we say it. I know we say numbers, but I think what we can do is you know, follow the budgetary processes as well as advocate, right? Us collectively, us together. We do have to speak together on this. And again, we're not a singular voice. So I think that you know, collectively we can do it. And I know we have experts like Chief Muskokaman over here who's great in economics. But I think that we can come together and create different ways of doing business.
Miigwech Young Tribe. Abram?
Yeah, for the question, Chief Miracle. As I've said in my opening words was about lobbying and advocating, and that is to continue to lobby, continue to advocate for our communities, for this region around the infrastructure that exists. Before the federal government announced their last budget, you've seen the Prime Minister go all across Canada talking about housing announcements, talking about all this money that's going to be in this wonderful budget. And then what we heard from the provinces was saying, well, housing is within a jurisdiction of the province. The federal government is making these announcements that requires the province to be there. What we didn't hear is the federal government say that we have programs available for on reserve for our communities. And that's not acceptable. And so as the province is getting upset that the federal government wants them at the table to build houses in the region, in the provinces, we need to make sure that we're holding the government accountable and making those presentations and lobbying and lobbying and lobbying the federal government and the provincial government for resources to close the gap. The infrastructure gap is not new. The problem is that the cost of inflation is through the roof. We used to be able to build 3 houses, now you can build 1 house. And the regional office needs to continue to advocate and lobby for that.
Miigwech Young Tribe, I have a hand up over here.
Chief Russell Wesley, Cat Lake First Nation. My question is, the Ontario government has made changes within its government system to enhance resource exploitation in the far north. What are your intentions with that? Question.
Okay, and again, we'll start with Rudy.
I've always, as a chief of Grassy Narrows, I've always been one that stood up against any resource development or mining and stuff like that. And I will continue to stand that way. I realize that, you know, each individual community has their own direction, and I do respect communities that decide to go, you know, a different direction than my views. You decide for your own community. But, you know, at Grassy Narrows, like I said in my opening statements, that we've stood up against logging, mining, and also we've challenged MNR in terms of our hunting rights and stuff like that, and we've been successful, and I continue to do that. Oh, because.
You got Trudy. Dean.
Miigwech. For us back home, and what I shared with the Chiefs of Ontario years ago was an assertion with the Crown governments that they could no longer steal from us, do mining, logging, take the fish. We were going to assert our reserve jurisdictions. We were going to act and protect our reserve jurisdictions, and we did. We have our own logging industry now that's not aligned with and doesn't take permit from Canada or Ontario. We have our own fishing system that doesn't take permit from Canada or Ontario. We delegate authority to the visiting governments. For me and our people back home, we don't align ourselves with the premise of meaningful consultation and accommodation. You need our permission, Canada. If you're going to develop anything on our lands, you need our permission. I intentionally don't say you need our consent because I don't want it to be misconstrued as an interpretation of UNDRIP's use of the word consent, where Canada has a veto over us. I'm cautioning us to be careful. We have the right to reserve our permission for any projects on our lands, and we can defend that, and I'll support you, Chiefs.
Dean, Glenn.
So, Chiefs, real quick, very little time. In the 90s, we stood strong on Manitoulin and Operation Rainbow. We made a point. There's no win-win, but we are satisfied. They respect us now. And I think the same thing here when it comes to mining. Put up the no trespassing. I've said that already numerous times to the Ford government and to the Minister Rickford. It's time we stood up. Yes, there's communities already signing on. Share the wealth. We respect that. I heard you, Chief, say that. But those of us that don't want them in our backyard, I think it is time for no trespassing. And they need to hear that loud and clear. Sit with the right holders. I've said that again many times to them. They're not listening. So maybe action, one little action, maybe we'll wake them up. Miigwech.
Thanks, Glenn. Travis.
Thank you, Chief. I think the simple response for me is you're not alone. Like if if people are encroaching in your territory and it's not something you permit, I think our the office of the ORC as well as the other regional organizations must be there to support you and to provide you with the assistance required. Mining's one of those difficult conversations that we have to have. It's one of those conversations of there's success and there's failure, but there's conversations that we have to have collectively. And until we have those conversations around jurisdiction as well, these conversations are going to become more and more difficult. But Chiefs of Ontario is a forum, can be a forum, and it doesn't have to be formal. We could sit like this and have those conversations. But long answer short, I've always been supportive of our communities and stopping things if they're encroaching. But I think we should do it together. You shouldn't have to go fight these fights alone. You shouldn't. If you do a call out, we should all go.
Congrats, Travis. Now we'll hear from Abram.
For the question, a couple of things. Obviously, this jurisdiction in your community belongs to you, and the regional offices need to support that and ensure that your jurisdiction, your ability to govern over your lands is respected, and then the governments understand that. Legislation, regulations have been changed in this province without any consultation of us, posted on some website or some gazette that nobody looks at. And what happens is, at the end of the day, after the rules, after the legislation has been changed, Then you have all of these, you have a system that doesn't acknowledge our jurisdiction that exists, your jurisdiction that exists, and you have people going on a computer staking where they can start, exploring for mines. Not acceptable. This works in the non-Indigenous world, but not in our world. And so the regional office needs to make sure that we're keeping a pulse on what's going on. The resource extraction, the changes to the regulations, changes to the law did not happen overnight. It was somebody in the government, whether it be at the federal, in this case it would be provincial, has been thinking that up, and the regional office has to have an ear and a pulse on the political ground so that we can safeguard and protect our nations across this region.
Miigwech. I saw a hand up over here a while ago. Maybe you just...
Good morning. Chief Judy Desmolin, Long Lake 58 First Nation. Part of my question was going to be about the Mining Act, but I heard a little bit already, so I'll leave that out for now. But my question is about the addition to reserve, ATR process, and there's something happening in that right now. Personally, I feel, as one of the communities in the middle of a land claim negotiation, it's so blank backwards, like totally backwards. We should not be asking for our land, negotiating for our land back. So I would just like to hear from the candidates and what they think about this whole ATR process. Miigwech.
Miigwech. Yeah, I'll ask after this. Okay, we'll go to Rudy.
I guess I'll just give you a simple answer. I don't like it. It shouldn't be, we shouldn't have to be, begging for our land back. It's ours in the first place. But unfortunately, that's the process that the federal government has chosen. And it's a difficult process. But like I said, I don't like the process either, and we shouldn't have to be begging our land back because it's ours. Oh.
Thanks, Rudy. Dean?
Miigwech. We retain underlying title to our lands. And as such, we understand that we inherited that from the Creator, from our ancestors. Canada stole those lands. And then they set up a process for us to prove that we had those lands. And if we prove it and we challenge them hard enough, they'll actually give us money for the lands, not land. And they say, well, you can buy land. But I caution us when we buy land, because in the fine print, you're recognizing them to then have underlying title. It's taking us away from our land. We need to reject the underlying title theft. We need to reject the additions to reserve policy. We need to redo that according to the way we see fit, not the way Canada sees fit. We need to make sure that they understand that and assert our unextinguished rights.
Very much, Dean. I'll take my talking stick back. Very much. So, Glenn?
So I guess just take it back if you can, real quick. We had an island too, Clapperton. Something burnt on there. Municipality said it was theirs. The fire was there. They put it out them, and they built them. And it was only then the mayor agreed that bill should go to Chaging. It's their island. So they know that's our land. I guess something has to burn on it first. But Mike Harris, too, signed an agreement, so we got to watch them. Mike Harris signed our Manitoulin Agreement, 1990. When he came into power, he ripped that in half right in front of us. So that's what they do, and that's what they can do, and they have done. So let's stand with each other. Take your land back. If it's adjacent to your community, all the more power. But take it back, because the agreements don't mean nothing, not to that government of the day. I don't think they changed since. Miigwech.
Miigwech. Travis?
Chief Collins offered to to answer for me. I think we could be honest in saying we haven't lobbied hard enough. We haven't done our jobs. I've heard this. This is one of those conversations where they keep coming up at our assemblies, and you know what have we done? What I'm committed to doing is seeing things through, and even if it's not an end result, you're going to get the effort. So when we talk about our land and we talk about these processes, that's a responsibility. A lot of that is a responsibility that you do give to these regional offices. And as far as I know, I think there's just more research and studies being done, but I think we have the solutions. But even outside of the ATR process, we have other solutions. But until we get together, I think, and brainstorm collectively as well, you know, we're going to be stuck in this in this nonsense. But you know, in summary, my commitment to you is to do the work. I don't like the way things have occurred, and I'm committed to moving the yardsticks.
Rich Travis. Oh, you can't have that. Are you saying, Chop? Okay. Abram?
He said to get moving. The ATR process is a broke process, but if you look at how it works in other provinces across Turtle Island, they got a year. Submit the application in a year, the land is turned back to reserve. In Ontario, 18, 20 years it takes. Not acceptable, not acceptable. And so if we break down the mechanics on it, where is the blockage? I mean, it likely is somewhat because of the Ontario region and the regime that exists here. There needs to be priority on this. The challenge is when it goes up to the AFN, the community or the region that takes a year, they don't have a problem with that. It's not a priority because it takes a year. Well, in Ontario, it takes 18 years. It's a regional priority for us. It's a national level, not so much. And you can tell too, though, that when the working group on the ATR, where'd it go? It fell off the rails. Big priority for the AFN. Big problem for us. And the regional office needs to make sure that it stays a priority. We work with our regional office of ISC to say, we need to fix this process. I don't care what's going on in Saskatchewan. I don't care what's going on in Alberta. Ontario needs a process that's going to work, and so our communities can continue to expand and be prosperous.
Having got Abram. Okay, so I guess time's moving on. We're going to take one more. Now, I know there's a few hands, but I think the next one that I saw was over here a few minutes ago. So we'll take the one more question, and then we'll have to have our break and get on with the proceedings.
Good morning. I guess my question is, I know there's not a chief in this assembly that knows that we're having a real issue with the Métis association throughout our land, you know, trying to assert their jurisdiction and harvesting rights, you know, and every right they want to try to accomplish. So I want to know, what plan do you have and what would you do with this situation? Thank you.
Miigwech and Rudy's right here, I believe.
With the Métis situation, I believe we should just stand our ground, because our traditional lands are ours. And for example, in my territory of Grassy Narrows, that's my territory. And regardless of what the Métis say, I'm going to stand my ground, and I'm going to tell them this is my land. That's too bad. And you know, there's other situation. I looked at the map, and I looked at Fort Severn, and around the Pewanik, it said Michif land. I've never seen one Métis person up there when I was living up north. All I saw was Cree.
Reg. Dean.
Okay. Chief Desmond, real quick, I do want to say that I would support whatever your preferred process is to resolve land issues is. I'll stand with you and support you and get you through that process. But I think we also have an aspirational perspective on how we see the land from our perspective. In regards to the Métis Nation, we've done a lot of work on a legal strategy. I would support the continuation of that legal strategy. We've got some really incredible representatives that are moving the yardstick for us, and I can see that legislation in the foreign government failing. I also want us to start to talk about jurisdictional issues that we reserved for our people to contemplate. We have our own land, our own law, we look after the animals, we look after the trees, we look after the language, we have our own policing systems, health systems, education systems. We never gave the foreign government jurisdiction over that area, including the delegation of rights to anybody, including the Métis. That has to stop. Métis do not have rights here unless we give any special group rights on our lands. That's still our inherent jurisdiction.
Gretchen. I think I'm getting in the Haudenosaunee way now, but sometimes I want to go that way and I can't remember which way, so good thing I don't have an assembly next week. I'd be really confused. So we're going to hear from Glenn.
Okay, Miigwech, you know, I just found out just a few short weeks ago that Margaret Fro, who's supposed to be the president of Métis, and the former one, Tony Belcourt, that they're from Saskatchewan. We don't tell Saskatchewan who can and can't live there or can take land. They have no right to come and tell us that in Ontario here. We got the momentum right now, chiefs. You have it. We have it, the momentum, fighting them. Let's just kill the bill. Kill the bill. We got it.
Which, Travis.
Hi, thank you for the question. You know, what I've learned over this time when talking or discussing the Métis file is that Bill C-53 is really just a trigger. It triggered us to have the conversation that we really haven't been having. What we've seen is that, you know, and through the research that, you know, organizations like M&O, they're not putting out fires every day. They have resources and they have, you know, the ear of the government, so they have nothing but time. They have time to be able to lobby for these things with the federal government. We're busy trying to create healthy communities, healthy and sustainable communities. Through the work that some of the leadership around the table here are doing, or around the circle here are doing, I'm committed to continuing the work. We just met in Winnipeg with the Manitoba Métis Federation. Declarations were made, good words were had, but we have to do the work now. And I'm not interested in, and I said this at a few caucuses, is that I'm not interested in writing letters and making declarations. Let's do all that, and then let's continue the actual work.
Okay, congrats, Travis. Now we're going to hear from Abram.
For the question around the Métis, I mean, obviously we've been talking about this for several months now since the bill has been introduced. And again, as I said earlier around some of the mining legislation, this bill did not come out of nowhere. This bill was in development for a long time. And us not having the heads up or understand or the knowing or ear to the ground politically that this is going to be coming forward is a problem. And it is a problem for our region, it's a problem for the nation. And so when we look at, you know, the strategy going forward, you know, this bill is likely dead. It's not going to stop. I can tell you it's not going to stop because the Métis have everything to gain and nothing to lose. And they are taxpayers, they are conservative voters, and as this federal government moves into a federal legislation, they're starting to appease their voters, and the Métis are voters. That is how that bill became as it was, because they barrage the federal government saying, we need this bill, we need this bill. Once it was introduced, They email, they meet with regularly members of parliament, they meet with senators, talking to them, telling them untruthful things about who they are, and our regional offices, including our national office, needs to continue to lobby and advocate. The regional office needs to be in Ottawa telling the story of what the Métis really are.
Favorite? Okay, Miigwech, Young Tribe, and Miigwech for all of those questions. I know there's some more that would like to speak, but I think we're kind of running out of time. We have to get to our election. So we do note that this was popular today, and we'll try and build this into future sessions and maybe allow more time for it. So we're going to take a break for about 10 to 15 minutes. We're going to call Young Tribe. We'll call you back in with a song, and then we'll start the election process. And then I guess I'd like the youth to join me in the circle in about 5 minutes, and we'll get ready for counting the next set of the process. So, miigwech. We gave them enough time, I think.
Yeah, oh yeah, well we did that at 10, and then we kind of gave them the up to the minute, and then right at about a minute 10, we kind of start letting them know, say, hey, I was trying my best to, if they were in a good flow, to try to at least let them finish before we bluntly cut them off.
Well, I guess we could probably call the chiefs back in then when you're ready. Okay, calling all chiefs into the circle for the Ontario Regional Chief election. This song is to call the chiefs back into the circle. Okay, Miigwech Young Tribes. So that was to call all the chiefs into the circle for the election. So all the chiefs, if you haven't entered the circle yet, please do so now. Our youth have also joined the circle. Like I mentioned earlier and yesterday, they're the ones who are going to be doing the counting. So before we start today, the youth are going to ask to do a count of what's in the circle. I did check with the registration desk during the break. They have 100 registered, but there's only 91 been scanned in from what I've been told. But the youth are going to do a count before we start. So we're going to ask you when all the chiefs are in the circle to put your hands up, and the youth are going to come around and count you. So it's going to take a couple of minutes, but like I mentioned yesterday, the youth really want to make sure they get accurate numbers when they do their counting, and we've seen this in previous years that they take their time. And at this level, I think a lot of you have been at these elections before. It will take a few minutes to do the counting because we are dealing with probably about 100 chiefs or proxies here today, and they're lined up behind different candidates. But we want the youth to take the time that they need to get it right, and I know that's their intention as well. Okay, are all the chiefs in the circle? I see a couple more still entering. We were having difficulty squeezing enough chairs in earlier as well, but I think a lot of this process will be standing. So just to quickly review, the youth are going to do a count of the number of chiefs and proxies in the circle to get that number before we start. CHOP's going to line the candidates up for the first ballot, and the drum's going to play a song at that point. We're going to ask the chiefs go stand behind the one they support. There was a question whether we go in a circle or go straight, but we'll ask you to go directly behind because it's going to take a little while to get lined up. Like I mentioned earlier, we keep doing this process until one candidate has more than 50% of the chiefs or proxies standing behind them. So after the first ballot, we'll ask the one with the least amount of chiefs behind them to stand down, give them an opportunity to thank their supporters. We'll ask the chiefs to sit down for a moment, and CHOP will reline the 4 candidates up, and we'll start another song and ask you to do that again until we get to 50% plus 1. And I think you're aware of the 5 candidates: Rudy Turtle, Dean Sayers, Glenn Hare, Travis Boissonneau, and Abram Benedict. Okay, so I think everybody's in. So the youth want to do their count. So all the chiefs in the circle. Okay, so anybody that's in here to vote, like a chief or a proxy, can you put your hand up? The youth want to go around and do a count. I know it's going to take a couple of minutes, but just please keep your hands up, and the youth are going to come around and do a count. Okay, turn it over to our youth. They were in here earlier in the break, smudging. So they want to, like you say, you're going to see that they really want to do this right. Put your hand up. Who's this for? Chief or proxy? We want to know how many's here. So over there so they can count you. No, Kevin, you have to go in the front there. Yeah, they've already started. Okay, one last one. Okay, come on in now, Kevin. Okay, so we're ready to start, and we've done our count. If there's any chiefs not in the circle, we're going to be starting the election now. We see an empty seat here. So if you're any chief that's not in the circle, now's the time to do it because we're starting the election in any moment. You can see the candidates already lined up. Oh, Adam's the chief. Okay, yeah. Okay, Adam just asked me to explain. The live stream is still on, but the 4 screens are off at this point because we don't want the candidates to be able to look up at the screens and see what's going on behind them. So they're supposed to be looking straight ahead. Just going to check with the youth. Okay, so the youth would like to do one more count. Some people wandered in partway through, and like I said, they want to get it right. So if you could put your hands up for another moment, they're going to go around one more time. really tight in here. Okay. Yeah, okay, so the youth are satisfied that they have their count. There are 95 chiefs or proxies in the circle, so we need 48 at this point. Yeah, I've called a couple of times now, Chop, in the last 5 minutes. If they miss the first round and they've registered, I guess they can join for the second round. It's going to change our numbers, but yeah. Okay, so we understand there's a couple of chiefs that haven't made it back yet. We're at 95, ready to start. If somebody misses the first ballot, is it okay for them to join the second ballot? Oh, one more chief just came in. Any objection to that if somebody joins the second ballot, a registered chief, but misses the first ballot? Okay, they're starting to wander in. So I think we're at 97 now. Okay, so Chop just consulted with our grandmothers, and they've decided that everybody is here right now is in the vote. We have called several times, so we're going to start the vote. If you haven't entered the circle at this point, you won't be able to join the circle for second, third, or fourth ballots if that's necessary. So last call. And we have 97 now in the circle. Is there one more coming? Is he here? Okay, I guess there's one more going to... No? Okay, is there any more? I think I see a chief coming. Are you joining the circle? Okay. Okay, so that makes 98 chiefs or proxies in the circle. So we don't see anybody else running. So the grandmother's already decided if you're not in the circle when you start, you can't join. So it's going to be the 98 that are here. So CHOP's already lined the candidates up. The youth are lining up to count the chiefs and proxies behind each candidate. We're going to ask Young Tribe to play a song. And when they start the song, we're going to ask the chiefs to go stand behind the candidate that they support. So we're going to turn it over to Young Tribe. Okay, so the youth have concluded their count for the first ballot. So to give you the results of the first ballot, we have Dean Sayers 28, Abram Benedict 27, Glenn Hare 18, Travis Boissonneau 14, and Rudy Turtle 10. So we're going to ask Rudy to stand down, but we'll give him the microphone to thank his supporters.
I just want to say thank you to people that nominated me and the people that are standing behind here, Miigwech, and this has been an experience, and I'll cherish this experience for a long time. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll ask the chiefs to sit for a moment, and Shop's going to reset our candidates, and we're going to do this again. Don't steal your chair, Kyle. Sorry, I won't be long. Okay, so the candidates are lined up again. We're ready for the second ballot, and we told you this happens fairly quickly. So we're going to ask Young Tribe to play a song again, and again ask the chiefs and foxies to go stand behind the candidate they support. Young Tribe. Okay, so I've just received the results of the second ballot from the youth. We have Dean Sayers with 32, Abram Benedict 31, Glenn Hare 19, Travis Boissonneau 15. So I'm going over to Mike, to Travis to thank his supporters.
Thank you, everybody. It's been this has been a wonderful journey, and I'm going to quote Chief Duckworth. There is no losers in this race. We're all here to serve our communities, and it's been a great ride, a great character test, and the support and the conversations that I've had with people from across the country. Really, you know, people are watching and people are supporting you. So be mindful, I guess, or be aware of. You never know who's watching. Oh. Do I go? Where do I go from now? Yep. Shake your supporters' hands. Yeah.
Okay, Miigwech, Travis, we're going to ask the chiefs to sit down again for a moment, and Chop's going to line up the 3 remaining candidates. We have Dean Sayers, Glenn Hare, and Abram Benedict for the 3rd ballot. Okay, we're all set. We're going to turn it over to the Young Tribe again. And again, we'll ask the chiefs for the 3rd ballot to go stand behind the candidate that you support. Okay, miigwech again, Young Tribe, and miigwech to our youth for doing the counting. The lines are getting pretty long, so I have the results of the third ballot. We have Abram Benedict with 42, Dean Sayers with 35, Glenn Hare with 20. So we're going to pass the microphone over to Glenn Hare to thank his supporters.
Well, okay. Miigwech, I'm glad I prepared for one way or the other. It's been one hell of a career. And I want to say miigwech. And I want to say miigwech just as important to the people that are sitting behind us. I've met many of your citizens, many of them over the years. And I hope our paths cross soon. So with that, I say miigwech. And to our Eagle staff, I hope we see it everywhere. Tao, miigwech.
Okay, miigwech. So pretty exciting. We're going to four ballots today. So we're going to ask you again to sit for a moment, and Chop's going to reline the last two candidates, and we're going to do this, it looks like, one more time. Okay, last ballot. Again, ask the Chiefs go stand behind the candidate that you support. Miigwech, again, Young Tribe. Well, you have selected a Ontario Regional Chief by the narrowest of margins, but the youth are all came up with the same number and double counted and triple counted. Abram Benedict with 50, Dean Sayers with 48, your new Ontario Regional Chief. Again, before we get too far, I'd like to offer the microphone to Dean to thank his supporters. And after we do that, we're going to ask the drum to play a unity song and ask you all to line up behind our new Ontario Regional Chief. So, Dean Sayers.
Miigwech Chiefs, thank you for your support. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you on the trail somewhere. There's so much more work to do, and if there's any way that I can help, just call on me. I'm always a phone call or a text or an email away, and I'm looking forward to reaping the benefits of your hard work, including the hard work that I can see that's going to come from a lot of the perspectives that we heard shared today with the new Ontario Regional Chief. Thank you for your standing behind me today. I truly appreciate that. Miigwech.
We're just going to give a moment for Dean to thank his supporters, and then we'll ask Young Tribe for the unity song, and also ask all the chiefs to stand behind our new Ontario Regional Chief, Abram Benedict. Miigwech Young Tribe. Okay, so Miigwech, for your time and pulling this together is very exciting, and you see how quickly it happens. Congratulations to our new Ontario Regional Chief, Abram Benedict. We're going to take a lunch break, and then after lunch, we're going to come back and do the ceremony with the new Ontario Regional Chief, and then after he'll address the Assembly. I understand he gets time tomorrow, but he does get some time after the ceremony again today. So miigwech for all your work around the circle in the last 2 days.
What was the count number again?
50-48.
50?
50 and 48, yeah.
Like that commercial, cover me.
Oh, yeah? So we have the sign. Miigwech. That concludes the in-camera session, the in-camera part of the protocols. I am going to ask newly elected Ontario Regional Chief to approach the podium for the final part. We can now resume the live feed, and it is now okay to take pictures, to take any video that you wish to do. That concludes the ceremonial aspect. The next, and we will now take pictures. So I'd like to welcome back those that are joining the live feed, those that are joining the webcast. We have just concluded the ceremonial aspects of the for the incoming Ontario Regional Chief. And next, what we will do is the signing of the oath of office. So I'll ask Abram Benedict to approach the podium. What I will do is I will read the oath of office, and a reminder that the more important part is the part that we just conducted, the ceremonial part. That's the more important part. This is more of a formality so that we have a signed document. So I will read the document so that we are all aware of what it says. Ontario Regional Chief will sign the document. We'll make a few brief comments. The formal opening address of the new Ontario Regional Chief will be tomorrow morning. So today it will be just some brief comments. Following the brief comments, we will have the giveaway. For the giveaway, I will give it back to Gordon Wendebents Jr., CHOP, who is somewhere, oh, right here, just to conclude the giveaway portion. So the oath of office, it reads, Ontario Regional Chief Abram Benedict. It reads, I, Abram Benedict, duly elected by the Chiefs of the First Nations in Ontario on this 12th day of June 2024, recognize, accept, and solemnly affirm that any authority the Ontario Regional Chief may have derives exclusively and entirely from the authority granted from time to time by the Chiefs in Assembly, and that as a leader who exercises mandates, authority, responsibilities, and duties delegated by the Chiefs in Assembly, the Ontario Regional Chief holds a sacred political trust to comply in every respect with the direction given by the Chiefs in Assembly, and that this oath of office applies to the Ontario Regional Chief while carrying out all their Ontario Regional Chief duties on behalf of the Chiefs of Ontario. And commit, 1, to faithfully, honestly, and consistently perform the duties of my office to the best of my judgment and ability. 2, to discharge my duties and responsibilities in a manner becoming my position. 3, to uphold the Charter, policies, and bylaws of the Chiefs of Ontario. 4, to uphold and to implement the direction given by the Chiefs in Assembly, regardless of my own personal views. 5, to work collaboratively with the Leadership Council in implementing the direction provided by the Chiefs in Assembly. 6, to honor and support the inherent rights, customary laws, sovereignty, and authority of all First Nations in Ontario. 7, to protect and support the exercise of the Aboriginal, treaty, and inherent rights and freedoms of all First Nations in Ontario. 8, to protect and promote the fundamental human rights of all First Nations people in Ontario. 9, to discharge my duties in a manner that promotes the interests, Aboriginal and treaty and other rights of all First Nations in every region of Ontario. 10, to use information obtained on the job for the intended purpose only. I will give out official or confidential information only when the release of such information will support, promote, and further the goals and aspirations of all First Nations in Ontario. 11, to immediately declare any personal conflict of interest that may come to my attention. And 12, to comply with any decision that may result from a disciplinary process if it is concluded that I have breached this oath of office. Signed and dated at Six Nations of the Grand River on this 12th day of June 2024, signed by the Ontario Regional Chief. We will have the signing here. It'll be witnessed by my colleague Vera.
Saying, give me a pen.
You have to sign too?
Miigwech, we will now have a few brief comments and then return to the giveaway to conclude this session.
Sego, Sogwego, Ani, Bonjour. It's with very honor and humbleness that I come to you as the Ontario Regional Chief. I want to acknowledge and thank all of you for the support. Acknowledge and say Yawangoa to our grandmothers who have assisted with the ceremony and now the swearing in. They've asked me to repeat some of the things that they have told me, the message in which they have provided to me on behalf of you and the region in which we all represent. They reminded me that the teachings, sacred teachings, is what guides us. They reminded me that our language, our culture is extremely important. They reminded me that I represent and have been instilled with great honor and privilege to represent our region. They've asked me to not bring disgrace or dishonor to this office of the Ontario Regional Chief. They've also reminded me that they continue to be there during my mandate to support me and ultimately support all of you as we move forward in this region and continue to advocate and support each and every one of you. I do want to say that in the couple hours that we have spent since the election, I've heard many messages that I continue to resonate, and those messages will continue to carry forward, not only the ones of our elders and our grandmas, but also the ones of all of you. And so it's a great privilege that I say Yawangoa, Miigwech, and I look forward to the next 3 years and a bigger, prolonged, boring political speech tomorrow that you're going to get to enjoy.
Miigwech, Nuigo, thank you very much for that, those brief comments. Again, we will have the official opening welcoming comments tomorrow morning. I'm going to turn it back for some guidance to CHOP, Gord Wendebents Jr. for the giveaway, and that will conclude the ceremonial aspects to welcome and acknowledge the incoming Ontario Regional Chief.
Bonjour. So I've asked our youth that have assisted us with the election to assist us once again with an offering for all of you. I don't know if we're going to have enough cups or enough drink, but we're going to try. So the youth are going to be passing around our I guess what we would call it in Anishinaabe language would be Odamin Mshkike. That medicine that we have So I just want to say congratulations to our Chigama. And this giveaway is actually going to be done by you, not me. So at this time, I'll ask the youth to start passing out those arshkike. And then you can decide where those gifts are going and who you want them to go to. The drinks first, guys. Miigwech ticket, Mompi, Shkaniga, Shkanikwe. I just want to thank our youth for assisting us once again, because it's a big job what these guys do. And like my Shkabe was said there, Gary, is that they had to get it perfect earlier on. And there was a few times that they did count. But give these guys a big round of applause because they're very, very important. And to all you youth out there that are listening on that, where's our cameras here? I guess I'll look at this one over here. On that live stream, Mompi, I can see you through there. Ani bojo kwekwe sego tanse. We need you here, all of you. Your guidance is needed. Your guidance is needed into giving all our Ogama sitting here that direction on what you want tomorrow, or for 5 years, or for 10 years. Your guidance is needed. Take part in a lot of the things that we're doing here. I'm talking to you guys there. Join your communities. Your youth programming that you have, join them. Assist with some of the things that are happening. Because our youth here, in 10 years from now, they're not going to be youth. They could be sitting at these tables right here. This is the leadership that we need. And we need you guys out there to be here. Miigwech ticket. Yeah, you guys all done? Yeah, just pass this. Yeah, then that's it.
Have them come up.
Just have them come up.
All right, so we're going to, we have some gifts for our chiefs, but before we call upon the chiefs, we have some specific gifts that we want to thank and say, Yongo Miigwech. First one that I have is to the drum. On behalf of myself and the chiefs and assembly here, go as miigwech for the tongs, the ceremonies that you've assisted with. I want to thank you with this. I have two other gifts, one for Chop. Oh, there he is. And one for Gary. Gary is our electoral officer, but you have to bring your hat. No. I'm thanking you for your duties as electoral officer. You're supposed to wear the hat.
Oh, yeah.
Your grandma's that wrapped
Grandmas?
you.
All right. This is for our grandmas who have provided guidance, words of advice for today. Calling on you. Got one left. Okay. Short one. These gifts are for the knowledge keepers. Not that one, though.
Busted my cup already.
No, better not be. Far in. Telling me where to go. No. Give them which? Okay. Ask them to. Okay, we're going to, we have gifts for all of the chiefs. You'll have to apologize, I have to apologize. I didn't read the briefing note on how we were going to do the gifts, and they've been telling me on the fly. I do want to call my nominator and seconder up. Without you two, I wouldn't be standing here today to be standing in front of all the other members, all the other communities. So now I'll go to booth you. Okay, we'll get the rest of the chiefs if we could. We have gifts for every chief or proxy that was involved in this morning's ceremony. So if we could get them to come through, I think that's how we're going to do it. Yeah. Okay, we'll get you to come in the circle here and take a gift. Likewise. Yeah, go ahead. Yes. Yeah, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Chief Phillips is very, very impressed.
What do you want me to say? Oh.
Again, I don't see any Pro V left there.
What's the most expensive gift here? That I can pick? Jam? I'll take jam. Jam. Yeah. All the best. Congratulations again, my friend. No bingo dabbers? What the?
Make sure you can get that on the plane.
Next.